Hello, everyone, and welcome. We're so excited that you've joined us for our professional coaching and life and work information session here at UC Davis, continuing in professional education. We are your program team. So I'm Crystal Babawal, and this is my colleague, Heather.
Hi, guys.
And we are very excited to be with you today to tell you a little bit about the coaching certificate program and answer any questions that you might have, because this truly is your session. We want you guys to engage with us, and we want to hear what's important to you. We have a prepared slide, so I have an agenda and an outline and slides that we're absolutely going to talk to give you lots of information. But as we're going through the presentation, if there's something that comes to your mind, something you were hoping to hear about on this session, let us know, because we want to make sure that we're covering it. So right now, if there's something on your mind, you're burning, you're saying to yourself, before I leave this session, I must know about this. Let us know. Put it in our Q&A or chat us, either way, whatever's most convenient for you, and we will make sure that we cover it or stop our presentation and cover it right then. So please engage with us. We'd love to hear from you. We want to make this your session and make sure we cover everything you want to know. To give you a little kind of basic administrative background, I did tell you that Heather and I help manage the certificate program. We also have directors of our program. They're external directors, so they don't work for UC Davis, but they really are the visionaries of this certificate program here. Those program directors are Carol Bennett and Michelle Payne. Carol is a PCC, a professional certified coach, and Michelle is an MCC, a master certified coach, as designated by ICF, the International Coach Federation. I just said a lot of words and a lot of acronyms. We will go over all of those things more in depth later on in our session, but just wanted to introduce them and their role. And hopefully I'll talk a little bit about how our program came to be later on through this session. In addition to us and our program directors, today we have with us one of our coaching alumni who just graduated in December of last year. So Pina Johnson. Hi, Pina.
Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me and having me on.
We are really excited to have you. So Pina has agreed to tell us a little bit about her experience and not only answer some questions from me about her experience, but from you. So as Pina's contributing to the conversation, if you have questions that you'd like answered from a student perspective, Pina will be here to do that. And she's even going to stay through the Q&A, right, Pina?
That's right. Excited to do so.
Yay.
Thanks so much.
All right, thank you. So we'll hear more from Pina in a little bit, but we are very excited to have an alumni here, because I can tell you how amazing our program is, but I think it's great when our program alumni come to share their experience. So to start off with that agenda that I mentioned earlier, we are going to talk a little bit about our program structure and our schedule of our programs. We're going to cover a little bit of information on the ICF, the International Coach Federation, which is the global certifying body for coaches. We're going to talk about coaching, what it is and what it isn't, a little bit about our program, kind of some of the details about our program, benefits of our program. We'll hear from Pina, our alumni, about her experience in the program, and then we will close with a Q&A. So time for you to ask us questions and us to engage. But as I mentioned earlier, we really would love to hear from you throughout the session. So again, if something kind of comes to your mind, you're wondering if we're going to cover a certain topic, or if I cover something a little fast, I have a tendency to do that. I'm sorry. I speak quickly. Slow me down. Put something in the Q&A, but kindly slow me down. Okay. I will not harp on that anymore. Heather, has anyone asked us a question?
Not just yet.
Not yet?
We'll
I'm so looking forward to it. My first one, I'm going to do like some sort of very excited cheer. All right. Well, another way that we want to engage with you in this session is through polls. So we have a bunch of polls, and they're really important to us. This first one is, how did you find out about our coaching program? If you can take a moment to let us know. Maybe you found out about our program through the International Coach Federation website. maybe you're doing kind of a general web search, a Google search or something, you might be on our mailing list. Maybe you've taken another program with us and we've sent you information on our coaching program, or someone recommended it to you, a friend, a colleague, another program alumni. That actually happens quite a bit for us, or something not on the list. Yeah, let's see. Let's take a look. Wow, it looks like most of you found us through a general web search. Great. A few through the International Coach Federation and some that are on our mailing list. So maybe you've taken some of our programs before. Wonderful. Well, however you found out of us, we are excited that you're here today. And these polls are really important for us, not just to engage you in this webinar, but we really take all of your feedback and we keep it and we use it. So we make changes to our program and updates based on the information that you're giving us today. One of the benefits from joining us today live on this information session is that you will receive a $100 off coupon just for being here with us online. We will tell you how to get that coupon later in the session, so stay tuned for more details about that. All right, so I want to start by just giving a little bit of context around what coaching is and what coaching is not. So ICF defines coaching as partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. And it's really important that you kind of think about what coaching is not in the same vein. A lot of people get confused about coaching and can maybe mix it up with mentoring or counseling or therapy or even consulting. While we have a lot of people who come to our program from maybe a therapy background or counselors, coaching is a little different. One of the things that differentiates coaching is, unlike therapy and counseling that tend to kind of look backwards, look back at past hurts or patterns, coaching is really assuming that every person is whole and perfect just as they are, and looking forward momentum, forward movement, looking forward to the future, which I think is a really exciting thing to work with people on, to help them move forward from where they are, wherever they are. Also, unlike mentoring and consulting, where people are showing up as the expert and they're giving advice, a coach really believes that the person that you're coaching, so your client, has all the answers within them. So really, you're just helping them through a process to pull out what they already know and helping to get them to action, helping them to define what their next steps are. But you're not defining their next steps. They are defining them with your partnership. So in a nutshell, that's what coaching is and is not. Another thing that's important is if you've been researching other coaching programs, you might see that there's a wide range of program topics. In fact, coaching is a very wide range profession. You can be a spiritual coach or a health coach or a life coach or a business coach, management and leadership style executive coach. Really, there are unlimited ways where you can use coaching to impact people. But I think what's important about our program is that we don't specify, we don't align to any of these one niches. So our program is really focused on the International Coach Federation's core competencies. And the important thing about that is that you're learning core principles in coaching that you can use wherever you go. So you're building the foundation of the house. And whatever type of structure you want to build in your own personal coaching journey, that's up to you. We'll help you kind of find some of and connect with the tools to get where you want to go. But we're helping you build that foundation of understanding the best practices for coaches. And then you take that with you into the world. We'll talk a little bit more about those competencies in a minute. Well, I guess that minute is now. A minute is now. Yeah. So our program is a 5-month program that includes 5 classes. You have to take the program as a whole, as a cohort, as we call it. So you start with the same people in the first class and you end with those people at the last class. You cannot pick and choose these classes individually over a period of time. Start and stop together. And the 5 classes are really this. One, Coaching Essentials is helping you to really understand what coaching is and is not. I gave a very short description, but you'll spend some time digging into that and building your own definition of coaching. So when you walk into the world, you're very confident in your description of coaching, and then it's very specific to what coaching is and might give you a lot more confidence in talking to people about what coaching is not. You'll also learn a lot about the ICF ethics of coaching. So best practices and ethics of coaching standards, ethical standards. In the second class, you will dive into these core competencies that I'm mentioning. So there are 11 ICF core competencies. Some of those core competencies are active listening, powerful questions, designing action plans, building trust and intimacy with your client. And for each of those 11 competencies, you will spend a lot of time, one, learning about what the competency is, but more than that is two, practicing these competencies in person. Our program is extremely experiential, so it's very hands-on. Not a lot of sitting and staring at a book, much more interpersonal practice. And then what I really like is our program spaces out, so you might have class 1 week and then a week in between with no class, and then another week of class. And one of the reasons for that is instead of just practicing with each other, you will practice with each other and then be asked to walk into the world and practice being comfortable with silence, not interrupting, true active listening, or asking powerful questions and avoiding closed-ended questions in conversations. It's a lot harder in practice than it is in theory and concept. So that's really fun. And finally, in core competencies, you'll start coaching. You'll watch a lot of coaching demonstrations, and you'll start coaching in the class and outside of the class. So it's a really exciting time in the program. Personal Foundations is really where you take a step back, and instead of learning all these tips and techniques that you're going to use with your clients and how to be a coach, you stop and you take a look at yourself. Because if you can't work internally on your own self, it's hard to help others work on what their core values and limiting beliefs might be, and other things that really dive down into the personal foundation of an individual. With Coaching Conversations, you will learn a ton of tools and techniques to use with your clients. So by that point, you will have a lot of coaching experience under your belt. You will have worked on your personal foundation and understand how to help your clients with theirs. You will be very experienced in the core competencies and the basics, and you will, in Coaching Conversations, learn a ton of tools that you can use with you. You'll build your toolbox, as they say in coaching, to take with you into those conversations with clients to help them through maybe some of the deeper things that they're going through. And then Coach Mastery is really all about you. It's the final class where you're submitting your final coaching recordings. So by that point, you've had lots of practice and taking some time to think about, now that the program is about over, where do you want to go in your own personal journey? How do you want to use coaching, and what steps will you need to take to get there? So action planning for yourself in this class, and really helping you define if one of those niches that was on that wheel there, if one of those speaks specifically to you, how do you get there? What's your next step? So that's a little bit about the classes and the content within the classes. A little bit about the program structure. We offer our coaching program twice a year. We offer it in what we call our summer quarter format and our winter quarter format. And there really is no difference between those two formats besides the day of the week that they're offered. So our summer quarter format, which we're currently accepting applications for, is Tuesday, Thursday evenings from 6 to 9 p.m. and then Saturdays from 9 to 5. About every other week it stretches for a 5-month period. So maybe you work full time Monday through Friday and you're like, there's no way I could take time off during the workday. That evening format might really work best for you. Our winter quarter format is Fridays, Saturdays from 9 to 5 both days. And then again, it's about every other week. So Friday, Saturday, you're off a week. Friday, Saturday, you're off a week. There are a few coaching demo days in there where you might just have Saturday class in the schedule, but for the most part. So Some people choose our program summer, winter, depending on the days. I want to go in the evenings because I work full time. That's the option for you. Some people just want to get into the soonest available program that we have, because if winter is the schedule you want, then you have to wait until about January, February of 2020 is when our next winter program will start. Also, our program, it's an in-person program. We are located in the Midtown Sacramento area. You can see our picture of our classroom location there on the screen, just off of K Street. If you're familiar with Sacramento, you may have seen this driving down the freeway. Many people say they have. And then we have an online classroom. It's a online learning management system tool that we use. You do have to attend all the sessions in person to take the program, but you also need computer access. So a laptop or a tablet or a desktop computer at home is fine, because that's where you'll submit all of your assignments and assessments. So just a little heads up on needing computer access, but this is an in-person program.
Yeah, and just a note on those assignments and assessments, we're not here to give you busy work. It's really reinforcing the practice that you did in class. It's all just meant to cement what you're learning in class. And so don't worry about busy work and a lot of PowerPoint presentations and things like that. Like Crystal said earlier, our foundations are an experiential face-to-face program. So
yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, you're not creating essays and submitting a thesis online.
Yeah.
You are doing a 30-minute coaching session and then listening back to that coaching session and answering questions about how you did, where you can improve, what you noticed, things like that.
Yeah.
All right. So I wanted to show you an example of our schedules in a little bit more detail. This is our summer quarter schedule. So if our application, that's what we're accepting applications for right now, is our summer quarter program. It starts in August, as you can see on the screen, and it runs through December. So it looks very long, but it's because it has those breaks in those in-between weeks. And it's the Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday format is our summer quarter program. And you can see the titles on the screens are the classes that I just talked about, the instructors for each of those classes, and then how I mentioned those demo days. And a demo day is a full day of coaching. It is watching the other people in your class and taking notes on their coaching, and then doing coaching in front of your class, who you'll, by that time, be very comfortable with. To get some in-person practice. All right. Also, I put on here our winter quarter schedule from this year, just so you can see what that looks like, if that's the schedule you're most interested in. This program that just started in January of 2019 looked like this: Fridays and Saturdays about every other week. It has those demo days just like the summer quarter schedule. So everything's the same, as you can see. It's just the dates that change. I know I've given a lot of information to this point, so if any questions are coming up about the program, feel free to let me know. As kind of a recap, tuition for the program is $8,300, $8,325, and that is an all-inclusive fee. I mean, that really includes your application for the program, all the course materials. You will be paired with a mentor in the program, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So you'll have a personal mentor who's a PCC certified coach who will listen to your coaching recordings and give you very specific praise for what you're doing well, and what they call in the program feed forward for where you can look to improve. And other programs, that mentor piece is an additional fee. Sometimes can be upwards of $500 to have a mentor with you through a program, or a mentor's advice, and that is included in our program. You'll also be paired with clients in our program. So we take that pressure off you of finding your very first client to coach. We do that for you if you want. We have a network of people who want coaching. It's pro bono coaching, but as you'll see in a minute, if you're interested in ICF certification, you'll have so many hours of free pro bono coaching that you can use to get that certification as well. It includes your parking, lunches, coffee in the morning. So really it's an all-inclusive fee. We won't be asking you for any more money in the program. This is it. And our program is a pathway, an accredited coach training program, an ACTP through ICF to ICF certification as well. So when you're done with our program, you can have a UC Davis certificate, and you can be on your way, well on your way to ICF certification. So the deadline for our summer quarter program is April 15th. I might give you guys some inside information. Heather, I'm going to give them inside information.
You're gonna do it? Okay.
I'm going to,
Right.
because you might say, man, the program doesn't start until August and I have to apply by April 15th. That seems pretty early. Doesn't that seem early, Heather?
So early.
It seems early. And that is because this is our general application deadline. What it means is that it's the first shot at getting into our program. We will do an extended deadline and continue to receive applications, but by getting your application in by April 15th, you're getting into that early application deadline. So if you're interested in the program for summer, you're going to want to get it in by April 15th so you can be in our general application deadline and have first priority to the program, right?
Absolutely.
Inside information.
Yeah, your best chances are if you get in by April 15th.
Yeah. All right. We have another poll. So I would love to know a little bit about you. Can you tell me why you're exploring this program? Maybe you're interested in becoming a life coach. You might currently be a coach and you're looking to add that sort of certificate, maybe a credential to your resume. Or a lot of people coach internally within organizations. So there's sort of designation of coaches as internal coaches, which can work for a company, or external coaches, which are oftentimes life coaches, health coaches, relationship coaches. You own your own coaching practice and you're a coach. Maybe you're just generally interested in the topic of coaching. Who isn't? Or someone recommended the program to you and you're like, I'm just here to find out more. Let's see.
Excellent. And while those votes are coming in,
Yeah.
Crystal, we did get a question,
Ooh.
and I think we will be covering this here in just a moment. Question was, what more is needed for the ICF certification that's not covered by the program?
Yep.
So we'll definitely be speaking to that in just a second. So
Perfect. Was that our first question though?
that was our first true to the, yep.
Yay! I would just like to thank whoever that question was from for asking it. Awesome. All right, what are our results? Let's see. Oh, so 38% of the people here are interested in becoming a life coach. A few are already coaching. Let's see, a few, almost equal though to wanting to become a internal coach or just generally interested in the topic of coaching.
Yeah.
All right.
That's perfect. And we kind of see that in our cohort of people. We have a lot of different students that come in. So that's.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It really is one of the benefits of our program, this diverse group of people. So not everyone wants to be a life coach, but what that does is it brings diversity and different perspectives and different experiences into that classroom situation. Really one of the huge strengths, I believe, of our program, and things that alumni have said is a strength of our program. Maybe Pina will talk about it later. We'll see. All right. So thank you for asking that question about ICF certification. I do realize that I've been glazing over it. Let's dive into it. So if you are online, there are little like raise hands buttons. If you can find your raise hand button, I'd love to know how many of you have heard of the International Coach Federation before today, before I mentioned it in this information session. Heather, you can look at those and kind of tell me what they say.
All right. They're piling in.
While we're looking for you to raise your hand, if you've heard of ICF, I'll start calling it by the acronym because it's shorter now that I've said the full description a lot. We are an ACTP, an accredited coach training program through ICF, which means that we are an all-inclusive pathway to ICF certification. Doesn't that sound fancy? It does. And that when you're done with our program, you will test at the PCC level. We're training you to test at the PCC level, and you will have everything you need except for the collection of coaching hours to apply for your ACC when you're done with our coaching program. How did those hand raisings go?
We have half.
Wow.
I've heard of the ICF before. So
Great. You know, when this program started, the program directors would say virtually no one would raise their hands and had heard of ICF or had a coach before. Coaching was kind of this new thing. But now a lot of people have heard of ICF, have had coaches, so that's wonderful. So a little bit about why an ACTP, what that acronym means. We give you 150 hours of coach-specific training. You only need like 120 to become an ACTP, but we give you more than you need of coach training, which is a really great benefit of our program. In addition, it's not just coach-specific training hours. This program is approved by our main campus for academic credit. So while you won't be writing a thesis and essays, you really are getting the weight of the UC Davis brand behind you when you get the certificate. You will also, as I mentioned, be paired with a personal mentor coach who will have 3 different sessions, hour-long sessions with you throughout the program, and they'll listen to your coaching recordings and give you advice, feed forward, and they'll be there for you if you have specific questions for yourself around how to improve your coaching. We will pair you with at least 1 client in the program. You'll have resources to figure out how to get more clients that you can start working with. And if you want more than 1 client, you can sometimes ask us for more than 1. So we really get you, help you leverage the start of your coaching practice. As I think I mentioned too that there are 3 different levels: ACC, PCC, and MCC. And this is what it looks like on the ICF grid with the requirements needed to become certified at these different levels. So let's just look at the ACC column, because that's really where most of our students, when they finish our program, go. You will need to have a coach-specific training program. So yay, you only need 60 hours, and we give you 150. So if you look over at the PCC column, that's 125. So you've got enough coach training hours for the PCC level. You will need to have a mentor coach who is qualified through ICF, and they have to be a PCC level coach to be a mentor. Again, part of our program. If you look at the minimum coaching hours, this is really what differentiates ACC from PCC and where you would probably go after our program. In order to become an ACC coach, you need 100 hours of coaching. So you can start accruing those hours as soon as our program starts. The first day of the program, some of you said you're already coaching, you can start accruing your hours and tracking your hours for coaching. So a lot of people do a lot of coaching as they're in the program. So by the time they're done with our program, they're pretty close to the ACC hours needed to go ahead and apply for that certification. But if you look over at the PCC level, you'll notice that you need 500 hours of coaching. That sounds like a lot to me. So I think it definitely takes you more than the 5-month span of our program to get 500 hours of coaching. So that might be something you want to apply at the ACC level and then kind of upgrade to the PCC level once you get those hours. That's what most people that I've noticed do. You'll need reference letters from 2 qualified coaches, which we absolutely help you with in the program. You will need to demonstrate there's an exam that you have to take, which everyone that I've talked to from our program has said our program absolutely prepares you for. It's really on the core competencies. And when you're done with our program, you will live, eat, breathe, and sleep core competencies. So no problem with the assessment for ICF. And then ICF does have a fee to join as a member and to be certified with them. Yeah.
And before we move on, we have one quick question. So how many of those hours are guaranteed through the program, the hours with clients?
So we do not guarantee any hours because that is really up to you. We have a piece of our program where we will pair you with a client. You will do 6 hours of unpaid coaching through that piece of it. But that is actually not a piece that's required. I personally have never seen someone come into our program and decide not to work with a client, because most of us want to become coaches and we want that experience. So UC Davis pairing us with a client is just a benefit. But through that piece of it, you would get 6 hours of practice coaching. But a lot of people in our program are coaching a ton. So you will find out that when you join the program, it depends on how motivated you are outside of the classroom. In addition to, the homework that's required, you can be coaching as much as you want. And you can have up to 25 hours of unpaid coaching. So your first 25 hours, you can ask friends of friends, people that you know, associates, hey, I'm doing this coaching thing. Can I practice with you? Rack in those 25 hours of unpaid coaching and then start getting your paid coaching. And you'll learn about it a lot in the program, but there really isn't a designation for how much you need to charge to be considered paid coaching. So you'll do it on a sliding scale. As you're beginning, you'll charge very little. And then you might, as you grow, as you get your certificate, you might start charging more. That's what most people do. Yeah. And people in our program who are motivated to get their ACC, minus the time commitment, usually don't have a problem finding clients and fulfilling those hours.
Mm-hmm. And just to answer somebody else's question,
Yeah.
it does say a minimum of 8 clients, so those can be paid or pro bono.
Yeah.
They just want you to have a variety of people that you've worked with, and they say a minimum of 8 people that you've done your 100 hours with. So they can be paid or unpaid. It doesn't matter.
There's a thing called group coaching, which we were talking, some of our alumni were talking about. It was really interesting. And someone said, what if I got 100 people in the room and I coached them for an hour? Can I get my ACC? And then, so I was like, no, because there's this minimum 8, so that you can't just coach for 1 hour, 100 people and be done. Yeah, you have to have proven experience and expertise. So. All right, I'm going to move us along. We're coming about to the end of information about our program, who we are and what we cover, and about ICF. So if I've left you with lingering questions on that, feel free to let us know. I want to make sure that we're answering your questions. As an overview, our program is an all-inclusive program that includes mentor coaching, the client pairing for that 6 hours of non-paid coaching practice. We have more than enough coach-specific training, 150 hours. We're an academic approved program through the UC Davis main campus. We give you lunch if you're there for lunch, and coffee. It doesn't say that on the slide, but it seems very important. Yeah.
And just to answer a question real quick, I will be sending out a recording of this info session. So it'll come out automatically to you guys after our IT department does their fancy bit with the recording and gets it up for us. So probably by the end of next week, at least by the end of next week, I'll be emailing you guys with a copy of this, so you'll have it to take a look at.
So they can carry us around with them anytime.
Yes.
You're feeling like you need a friend, just turn this on and Heather and I will be there for you. All right. So one of our program directors, Carol Bennett, often says that a good coach has a coach, or has at least been coached in the past, so they know what it's like to be a client. There's no judgment here. I'm just wondering, have you ever had a coach? Have you ever had a coach that you worked with? If you haven't had a coach, you might consider being one of those clients in our program. If you know that you're not going to be joining our program until winter quarter, or you're getting information now for a year or so away, sometimes it takes people a while to decide on a 5-month program. Let us know, because we'd love for you to be a client for a coach. But just curious, let's see. Wow, 50% have had a coach and 50% basically have not, but would love to have a coach. So wonderful. Yeah. All right, I'm diving closer and closer to Pina, our wonderful guest alumni who's here. But before we turn it over to Pina and ask her some questions, I want to let you know that our program isn't just a 5-month program. You come to class, you leave, and that's it. Our program really facilitates a community of coaches. The people in our program really build a strong bond. You'll become really close to and get really vulnerable with the people that are in your program. You'll have to, because you'll be doing a lot of coaching with them and for them. And you'll learn a lot of really good skills, in addition to the fact that outside of the classroom, so once you're done with our program, our alumni stay connected, and not just the individual cohorts that go through the program. You become part of a UC Davis coaching alumni community. We have alumni events. We have a closed group online where our alumni can get together and talk about, hey, I read this cool new book I thought people would be interested in, or I'm starting my coaching business and have a question on this specific function of it. If you maybe have specific things you'd like to invite the alumni to, wide variety of topics that our alumni come to this group with, but they do stay very well connected, build bridges amongst the alumni from other cohorts, and it's a really wonderful community of people. One of the members of that wonderful community is Pina Johnson, who graduated our program, our class of 2018 summer program. So Pina went through the Tuesday, Thursday evening, Saturday program. If you have questions around that, she'd be a great person to ask. Pina, thanks for being online with us.
Absolutely. Excited to be here.
Yay. So I have a few questions for you. Do you mind answering them?
Not at all.
All right. So my first question for you is, can you maybe tell us what led you to coaching?
Well, about 10 years ago, someone suggested to me that I should look into becoming a life coach. And I looked at them like a deer in headlights because I had no idea what that was. I'm like, is that even a thing? Obviously, it's become a lot more popular. And it was in the summer of last year, my husband was like, hey, I've got an idea, and this might seem crazy, but just think about it. He's like, have you ever thought about being a life coach? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to start doing some research. So I went online, and like some of you, I went on and found the ICF, and UC Davis was one of the credentialed schools. And I signed up and was in class within a really short period of time. And so I just went for it.
Awesome. Wow, what a wonderful husband you have.
Yes.
Your goals. Yay, husband.
Yes. I'm very blessed.
Well, I know you just finished the program the end of last year. So would you mind telling us a little bit about your experience in the program?
Yeah, actually, I had such a wonderful experience that if I can do it again, I would do it again and savor each moment. It was absolutely incredible. I thought it was a big undertaking because I had, at that time, my son was 6 months old. So for any of you working moms, I have 3 children. And I thought, okay, I hope the homework isn't too crazy and I hope I can do this. So my husband's like, we'll support you. One of my she's a teenager. So I was like, okay, it's going to take the whole family. But the whole experience was just wonderful. I learned so much and met some of the best people, in my opinion.
Oh, that's so awesome. I am so glad that you had a wonderful experience. If you were to pick maybe 1 or 2 things that you thought were kind of your favorite part of the program or the most impactful part of the program for you, does anything stand out?
Yeah, absolutely. So the tools, the NLP, a lot of the things that these teachers presented, it was like gold. It helped me so much in my personal life. I was able to apply it right away at work, in relationships and networking. I mean, it was a lot of really useful information, and yeah, they're super knowledgeable, so it really helped. And I think that was the thing that stood out the most was the NLP and the actual tools that they gave us and made us practice in class, which was the best thing because it's not like they were just feeding you a bunch of information. You were actually practicing it, which made it really stick. So, yeah.
Yeah, so when you talk about NLP, I didn't mention that, but one of the things in coaching conversations that you learn, one of those things in your toolbox is NLP, which is neuro-linguistic coaching. So kind of coaching how the brain works, right? And how coaching.
Yeah, just finding out how our brain works and why we process things the way we process them. So just a lot of really neat information.
Awesome. You go through this program with a collection of 20 to 30 people. So what was it like being in a cohort program where it's the same people every single time you show up to class?
Well, I'll tell you what, initially it was a little scary because obviously you're in a class, you're going to spend a lot of time with them and you're all adults. So it's been a long time that you've been out of school for some of you. And it was a little intimidating, but as we went into the program and got to know one another, it just became like a second family. These people, I mean, you really gain these close relationships, just like they said. It's not just a networking, it's just a relationship building. You have to practice a lot, so you end up coaching one another quite a bit. So you get to know each other. So, and by the way, I got so much out of getting coached. It helped me so much in my personal and professional life. So, but it was just life-changing. I'm still in contact with a lot of them. We still coach one another. A lot of us are, trying to get our hours so that we can get our certification. So yeah, we form this bond, and you're able to continue these connections that you made over time if you nurture them.
Well, that was leading into my next question. So that's perfect, Pina. I'm curious if you're pursuing ICF certification.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm getting ready to complete my 100 hours. So I'll be putting in for my ACC pretty soon. Yay! And definitely going for my PCC. So that will be next on my list. One thing at a time, step by step for sure. But yeah, and I'm excited to do so. It's been fun coaching and getting that experience.
We had a question earlier about if our program helps to get people clients. And I sort of gave an answer around, we have the client pairing process where you get one client, that's 6 hours of coaching. But maybe you could elaborate a little bit on your experience of how you got how you've been able to get hours, and maybe what you've seen other people in your cohort that are planning on pursuing, certification.
Yeah, absolutely. So just word of mouth, sharing it with other people. Hey, I'm in school, I'm studying to do this, and people are just naturally curious. They want to hear more about it. So it's a great opportunity. I just shared it with people, and they asked for coaching. And I also have been implementing that into my current job. I'm an operations manager. And so I have a leadership team that I am training up, and I'm coaching them. So I have about 7 people within my organization that I'm already coaching. So I was able to, everything I would learn, I would just start literally practicing it at work. So it's been really, really nice. You just kind of have to take every opportunity that is in front of you and just go for it.
Awesome. I guess my final question for now, but you're going to stay with us for Q&A. So if people have questions for Pina, feel free to, put them in our question bank or in our chat. Is just for everyone who is a prospective student student looking at our program or looking at professional coaching?
It is definitely worthwhile. You get such useful tools that even if you're not planning on doing it forever or as a sole practice or sole business, you can implement the skills that you learn into any area of life, whether you're in business or you're an entrepreneur or you're working for a company. Everything that you learn is so useful, and you can definitely, it will help. I will say from a personal perspective, I actually, when I finished my course, I came to my boss and I said, hey, listen, I've got this new set of skills. I want to start using it. I want to coach our team. And this is how I feel it'll benefit our office. And I got a 20% raise.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
So that was a lot more than I had expected and I could have hoped for, but it's definitely, it's something that you can put on your resume. And you can say, I have these skills. I'm worth so much more because I have this value that I can bring to your company or, whatever it is that you're doing or you want to do with it. And it really has helped with relationships because some of these skills that you learn, like you mentioned, active listening, powerful questions, becoming a better listener. These things have helped in my marriage with my children, especially the teenager. So my friendships, all the relationships, it's just definitely been very, very valuable.
Oh, well, that's so good. Well, congratulations on the raise and you're being near your ACC completion. You'll have to let me know when you get that. I'd love to be able to congratulate you and celebrate you. Absolutely. And I think I'm going to see you at our alumni event on April 5th. So we'll see you then too. We can talk. And Pina's going to stay around for our Q&A. So if you have questions, as I said, kind of think about what you'd like to know from a student perspective, and we'll make sure we answer those. Thanks, Pina.
Yes. You're welcome.
All right, we've got one more poll. I think this might be our last poll or second to last poll. It's just, are you local to the Sacramento area? We are an in-person program, so you do have to be at our Sacramento facility in order to join our program. And I'd just like to know how many of you are outside of this range. Maybe you're kind of very close to Sacramento, live in Northern California, or totally live outside of California. We have people who we have quite a lot of people who come to our program from outside of the Sacramento metro area. So people, a lot of people who commute from the Bay Area. We have people who will travel from Southern California or other states, and sometimes people who relocate here to California for the 5-6 month period of the program. And we often have international students that will come and travel. So just because you're not local doesn't necessarily limit you from joining our program. Wow, it looks like all of you are either very local, wonderful, or live in Northern California, further than 30 minutes from Sacramento, but in Northern California. Great. All right, winding down our information session, I want to give you some information on how to apply because it's important if you're looking at joining our program. So we do have an application. You heard earlier that that application deadline is April 15th. That's the the first application deadline. So highly suggest you get your application in then. Applicants will then be notified the week of April 29th if they've been accepted into the program or placed on the waiting list. And then if you're interested in, if you're interested in the winter quarter program, that Friday, Saturday, every other week format, we are not accepting applications for it yet, but the application will go online September 1st, and you can email Heather. You'll get an email from her later thanking you for being online today. Actually, that's how you get your $100 discount code. She'll send you an email thanking you for being here today and giving you that $100 discount code. And feel free to email her back and say, I'm interested in winter. She'll put you on a list and we'll send you an email once that application launches. So the application is really kind of two parts. One, I want to just reiterate that when you're creating your profile in our system, it's important to create it fully. It'll ask for your job description, like what company you work for. All of that information becomes part of your application. So it's really important that you don't skip past creating your profile, but that you fill it out fully. And then you'll be asked to answer 4 questions. We have a suggested word count for those questions, which is like 300 to 500 words per question. I would just recommend that you don't put one sentence. Sometimes we'll get applications, what are your short and long-term professional objectives? And someone will say, to get a certificate. Well, sometimes there's high competition, to be honest, to get into this program. And what is really going to help get you into the program and have your application selected is to sell yourself. What I always tell people is to tell your story. Where'd you come from? What are your short and long-term objectives? Why are you interested in coaching? Tell us about how your past experience has contributed to what you want to achieve. Why do you want to pursue a professional coaching certificate? Hopefully it's not just to get a piece of paper. Hopefully it's because you're passionate about people. You've got a story in your past that connects you to this profession, or a coach made a huge impact in your life and you want to impact others. Whatever your story is, that's the right answer. Not to write the application so that you get in. Really, I don't want people to feel a lot of pressure over the application, but just to lay it out there. This is who I am. If you do that, I guarantee you'll have a good application submission. So these are the 4 questions that are asked on the application. Oh, did you have something?
Yeah, I just had a quick note. Sometimes I'm talking with folks on the phone, counseling them about the application, and there'll be questions about, the work history and, oh, well, I'm not working right now, I'm in between, so what would I put? And you can feel free to, say career change or in between, and just put something that what you've done in the past. Because again, it's just contributing to your story. And when you're answering these questions, it's really just telling the story to our director, because she'll use these applications to build that diverse cohort. We have people from execs from IBM and Google, and then we have bartenders from Midtown. We have stay-at-home moms and people who are post-retirement and looking, so it's a huge mix of people. So don't be shy about where you are, what you're doing.
Yeah.
Really just, talk about a time when you've been coached or you do coaching and how it makes you feel, and just share your story about who you are. That's what the purpose of the application is. So yeah, no anxiety, just tell us about you.
Yeah.
And we'll be really excited to meet you and get you in the program.
Yeah. Awesome. I love that. All right, so one of the most common questions that we get is about financing your education or discount options. So I think this is one of our last slides. I'll kind of brush over it. If you're maybe a veteran looking to use GI Bill funding, or you're getting funding through any government funding source, this lady whose beautiful picture's on the screen, her name is Diane Carr, and she would be your point of contact if you're getting government funding for any reason or you're a veteran. So you'll want to contact her to ask about funding use for the program. In addition, while we don't have financial aid in the same way that a traditional four-year institution might, we do have financial institutions that work with us to give student loans. So if you can't afford the full cost of the program and you need to apply for a loan, Diane is also our point of contact to help students with the application process. There's a lot of information on our website about it, and Diane will be the first point of contact for you in the student loan process. Our program is very unique to most other programs here in continuing and professional education at UC Davis because we do offer a payment plan. So that payment plan will let you spread out the fee for the course over generally like a 6 to 8 month period. What would happen with the payment plan is it breaks it down essentially into 3 chunks: 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 of the full program cost. Once you get notified that you've been accepted into the program, you will be able to submit the first 1/3 of the program fee. You'll have a window of about 3 weeks to submit that, and that guarantees your spot in the program if you choose the payment plan option. And then you have a little bit of time to submit the second. It's usually about the first day of class, maybe a little bit before that you submit the second piece of the payment. And then the third piece of the payment is about a month and a half into the class. You submit the last chunk of the payment. So it doesn't extend it over, a couple year period, but it does break it down for you a little bit. You do not have to use that. If you have the money for the program and you want to pay in full, or if you're using a loan and you want to pay in full, great. But some people do need that payment plan option. And for this program, we're really pleased that we can offer that to you. You will also be receiving, as I mentioned, an email from Heather with your coupon code for your $100 off coupon. You'll want to make sure that you submit that when we say you're accepted into the program and you go to pay that initial 1/3. That's the time, or the full fee. That's the time you'll submit your $100 coupon. And if you're a UC Davis staff member, we do have a discount, a slight discount for that. Feel free to let us know if you're a UC Davis staff member, and we're happy to give you more details on that discount. Our final slide before a quick Q&A. I know we're running close to the time, into the time of the session. Hopefully we've provided a lot of great information for you today. Is that if you've ever thought about getting a master's degree, we have an articulation agreement with University of the Pacific for their master's in organizational learning and effectiveness. So when you're done with our program, you only have 7 classes and a capstone project through University of the Pacific to receive a master's from them. So that's a really great benefit, and we can give you more information about that if that's something that sparks interest for you. All right. We have about 6 minutes left in our session, and this is our time for open questions. If there's anything that we didn't cover, or maybe something I covered too fast, brushed over, and you'd like us to go over it again, feel free to let us know in the Q&A. We're happy to take these last couple minutes to answer any questions that you might have.
So there's one here about missing class. What are the policies around, if you have to miss a couple of days?
Yeah, that's a really good question because it's a long program. And the rule of thumb is that you cannot miss more than 10% of the program. And really the reason for that is because of our ICF, our tie to ICF and this accredited coach training program there that we're in. That's one, we have to have so many hours in order for you to complete the program. And two, our program is really very experiential, hands-on learning. So if you miss too much of the class, you really, it's hard to make it up. So we say, if you know already that you have something where you're going to be out of town for a whole week, you might want to wait until the next program offering to apply, because 1 week is all you can miss in the whole program. So if you're going to be out of town on business for a week, if you get sick or pulled away on business another time, you might not be able to pass the program.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We have another question. Are there any educational requirements to be eligible, like a bachelor's, anything like that?
Yeah, no. And I think it's great because it really does build the diversity in your cohort. When you apply for the program, as you noticed, we didn't ask you about your education. We do not require you to submit transcripts prior to attending our program. We really get people, like Heather said, from all different walks of life. And that is one of the benefits of our program.
Do the classes cover anything about creating your own coaching business?
So specifically, since our cohort is so diverse, in Coach Mastery, the last class, you will learn different functions of marketing, what you would need to know to start your own coaching business, often through kind of lunchtime learnings and with sharing with each other. But because many people in our program are internal coaches like Pina, maybe not just a life coach starting their own business, we do not train you to open your own coaching business, but we will help you build connections with those who have and give you some tips and techniques from our expert instructors who have built their own coaching businesses from their perspectives.
Mm-hmm. And I'll add to that too. So the instructors, Michelle in particular, with this last class that you have, she's always open to questions. So she'll be able to share her experience, how she started, and then you can always ask the teachers, for suggestions and questions. And I actually didn't mention this, but I have started my own coaching business as well. I just got my business license and I'm in the process, and I've learned a lot from other people that were in the class with me. I listen to podcasts. There's so many resources for people starting out their coaching business. There is just so much help and assistance. And our teachers are really good about, hey, if you want to email them a question, it's not like after the class is over, you lose touch with your instructors. They're open to you reaching out to them and emailing them questions or any hand holding you may need. So that's what's great about the program.
Awesome. Well, and congratulations on starting your, man, you've been busy since the end of this program.
So busy.
And that's great. I think it really speaks to one of the aspects that we try to really work towards, which is our community, our networking.
Yeah.
We don't have any clients beyond the program to give you or anywhere, any business classes per se, but we are really interested in providing a strong network with your own cohort after the program, as well as other cohorts. And like Crystal had mentioned earlier, our alumni networking event is coming up this month, and so we'll have people from past years all coming together, and it's sharing of ideas and resources, and just going to be a really great place to get that kind of information. And yeah.
It looks like we have about 1 more minute. So if there are any burning questions out there, Heather, do we have anything else in our queue, or did we?
We do not. I think we might have covered it all.
We did such an amazing job. High five.
There we go.
There were no questions. Well, I hope that means that we really did provide a successful information session and give you everything that you came to learn. I want to thank Pina for being on this session. Pina, thank you.
You're welcome.
It was so valuable to hear your opinions and also all the exciting things that are happening for you.
Yes, it's been a fast forward movement since graduation, so all uphill.
Wonderful. Well, we'll stay in touch. And anyone on this session that wants to stay in touch with Heather or I, you can get a hold of us. We are happy to talk to you about the program. Heather will be your main point of contact. So she's the one you'll probably be speaking with on the phone. If you have questions about the application process, dates, deadlines, you're going to be out of town and you're wondering if you can take it, any questions that come up for you personally at all, Heather will be happy to answer them. Right, Heather?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else you want to mention in the closing?
No, that about covers it. My email's at the beginning of this presentation, and I'll be emailing you guys anyways. So we're just really excited to have you send those applications in, and let's get the next cohort going.
Let's get it going. We'll look forward to meeting you in class and seeing you in that next cohort. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.